Hi. So you're listening to the Guru Code podcast, and it's lovely to have you with me. Thank you so much for joining me. As with all of our topics, they've been inspired by my lovely client conversations and those conversations that I've had the pleasure of being in on one-to-one networking follow-ups. And my offer to you, certainly, well, it's forever really. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, do really come and find me and let's link up. And if you fancy a one-to-one chat, as we do in networking, please let me know, because that's something that I really do love to do. Love to hear more about your business and what you get up to, you know, all of those sorts of things. So this month is very much inspired by the doom and gloom over the economy and, you know, those things that have happened, such as Her Majesty's passing. Both, I feel, have brought out some very deeply held defeatist beliefs on one hand, but on the other, some really inspiring and heroic attitudes that, well, I don't know, they've hit with me. So not only is the weather changing, but obviously the shift in our familiarity and norms have also been shifting. So this month we are talking about keeping our eyes on the prize. You know the one I mean, that prize that I mean? It's the one when you talk about it, your eyes glint. Your tone of voice changes and your body has that certain energy running through it. Now, if you just thought about it and you got it, yeah, I reckon you've probably just absolutely experienced it. So that's the prize we want to keep our eyes on. So keeping our eyes on it, you may already know that our focus is controlled by the questions that you're posing. And if you're feeling unfocused, the fastest and most successful solution to regain that control is to change your questions. It sounds simple, doesn't it? It actually really is, but it just takes practice and that courage to step back in order to do that. You see, language, whether it's spoken out loud like we are now, or whether it's the conversation that you have, you know, inside to yourself, that little chatter that we have all the time, has the power to change your life. And that is no exaggeration. It is powerful, my friend. A defeated mind is a lost life. And that's absolutely the truth. This month is all about remaining and retaining that focus and not getting drawn into any fear-mongering that fills our airways over breakfast and tea time. You know, obviously we've got to be willing to listen to it, but, you know, to have it keep droning on in the background, eventually it penetrates. You know, it's like that water that still makes the mark on the hardest of rocks because it's the persistent dripping that happens. So, you know, be aware of your surroundings. As Jim Rohn, he's one of my favourite people. He took me a little while to get used to, but actually, and I know he's gone, but he still has some really useful things to say in his recordings. But he said the wind will always blow. You just have to get better at setting your sails. You see, that to me was a mic drop moment. Yeah, absolutely. The wind is always going to blow. There is always going to be crisis. There is always going to be something out there. But we set our sails in the best way. We master that and it won't matter. We'll use every single blast of wind to actually progress us and progress ourselves. So let's hoist those sails. Let's set a course bound for increasing clarity in your business life. Clarity is actually your insurance that will help you ride those incoming storms and the rough terrain. For as much as we say we are accountable for everything in our lives, many of those storms are not going to be of our making. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it? But it has to be said. Clarity promotes a calm mind, and it's what will give us the courage required to ward against falling foul of that victim triangle. You know, it just does. You know, having a calm mind, I said to my accountant just this week, you can't always see everything because you're in the frame. And that's what the calm mind will do. It'll let us stand outside the frame, and then we can see the whole picture. I mean, this is a great quote from Tom Brock. I think his name's Brokaw. Apologise for the pronunciation. But I also think it's very fitting, considering the historic events that we've witnessed in this last month or so. I mean, even down to the Prime Minister changing. I mean, you know, if you don't want a trilogy of things that will sort of set us off into, you know, worrying about the future, these couldn't be further than the perfect three, really, is it? But it's his quote is, "It's easy to make a buck, but it's a lot tougher to make a difference." Now, I really like this because I think, again, it goes back to that language. So let's get this clear. What do you want? And for what purpose do you want it? You see, in my world, making a buck means, for a lot of people, translated into that internal conversation that we have, maybe not with words, maybe with feelings, but making a buck means I go cap in hand. I'm asking for help. I'm selling. I'm hustling. I'm doing all those things that really repel me and make me feel like it's not nice. It's all a bit sort of icky, really. But making a difference, when you say I'm out there making a difference, what is it you're doing? You're standing tall. You're saying, I have something to offer. Let me offer you this. I can help. Take my hand. You know, it's like we're willing to share with others. And for a lot of really good-hearted business people, that's a much easier stance to take. So just take a moment. The end game is the same, isn't it? You see, when you do something, you make the offer and make a difference, the bucks will follow because people want to pay you for your work. At the end of the day, if we're not more focused on making a difference and solving those problems, making a buck, you know, it's almost an inevitable thing without you even thinking about it. I don't mean take your eyes off the prize as in the money. You have to know what your numbers are. That's ridiculous to say you don't. But actually the biggest focus is to make, you know, turn it around and make a difference. One of my clients who came to me and they're feeling really that they'd plateaued in business. It's just like the hamster wheel thing. They made really huge gains after we changed those questions that they were asking themselves. They no longer dreaded calling people because now they were seeking to help, not sell. They didn't dread asking her for a deposit because actually they knew what was coming up afterwards. They weren't even asking for the whole amount of money. By changing the questions, they changed the focus from looking at the bottom line to focusing on what was on offer at their top line. After all, if you think about it, if you look at the bottom line, it's almost too late. It's fait accompli. Oui? You know, that's what I put in the monthly musings because it is. You know, you can't see your bottom line until you've actually completed something. So what line really and realistically have you been focusing on this month when you're looking at everything that's going on, what's happening in the economy, where have your fears been placed? I would hazard a guess for the majority of people, it's on the bottom line. What does that mean to me for my income? Let's look at the top line. What does this all mean for opportunities? What does this mean for what I could do to change the situation, to alter the situation, to just support whatever it is I want to support? Now, there's a lovely quote here from our Queen, who's just gone, in 2018. And it was on telly, and I had to pause the telly and take note of it because I think it really does resonate with me and for a lot of business owners. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. None of us have a monopoly on wisdom. And isn't that the truth? You know, we are, as I've always said, as about being students or apprentices in life, you know, we don't have a monopoly. we just have to do the best we are doing, and we learn as we go and laugh at ourselves as we do it. And then we don't fear failure. I've said it before and I'll continue to repeat it because I really do think it's very important. When you accept that you are going to be the student in life, then failure just becomes just that another punctuation mark in your success story. We use full stops, we use commas, we use exclamation marks, speech marks, question marks. Why not a punctuation that says, "Oh, that didn't go quite how I planned"? That's all it says. We if you're out there and you're doing what you should be doing, we are going to be rejected. You and me are going to be rejected, but we reject others so often. Now, one of my coaches once said to me, to get used to being rejected, go into Costa or Starbucks or a coffee shop and go into at least 10 every day and ask for a discount. And every time you do that, they guaranteed that I would be rejected. And they said, do it, keep doing it, and smile your way through it. Did I do it? No, I didn't. I didn't follow my coach's advice, but I got the drift of what they're actually saying. It sounds daft when, some people tell you to, celebrate rejections. I don't think it's about celebrating as much as honouring the rejection, if you like, in a way, because you don't ever get desensitized from it. Because if you're passionate about your product and you love what you do and you are absolutely adamant that it's going to, and you're speaking to the right person, that's really key actually, isn't it? If you're speaking to the right person, you absolutely have that level of certainty that you can help them with whatever it is. And that's why it sort of, it irks a bit when they say, well, no, not really. But again, it's just a change of language. We just haven't hit. They're not rejecting you, but what they're saying to us is, I was hoping for something slightly different. And I think that's all we need to get used to, is asking those questions. We keep asking those questions. As soon as we've been rejected, oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I've misunderstood. And you go back in there. It's not an argument and it's not an insult. It's not sort of saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's saying, okay, maybe I haven't quite understood what you're asking for. Now, you may have read the post by Tucker Sullivan commenting on the age of King Charles, and he's only just coming to the throne. And he said that sometimes being apprentice takes longer than others. It's going to take us a lifetime. You and me, a lifetime. And even then, we're never going to be perfect in our businesses or our business, in our business knowledge. It's going to change, just like everything else around us is going to change. But that calm mind is the ultimate weapon against your challenges. That came from Bryant McGill, a quote from him, and it's absolutely true. The calmer we can be, the more we're going to see and the more questions we're going to ask, and be able to change those questions to get different answers. So I ask you in the monthly musings, what apprenticeship are you undertaking at the moment? Maybe it's an apprenticeship in public speaking, on webinars. Maybe you need to do a webinar for your business, or you'd love to do a webinar, or you'd love to go on somebody else's forum and do some speaking for them. Maybe it's sort of leading and decision making it in your own business, sort of those new decisions and investments. Maybe that's what you're getting used to. Maybe it's showing up at networking events. And I spoke to somebody, probably 18 months ago now. And one of the things they were saying is that they felt that everybody else was more confident than they were, and they couldn't speak properly or, deliver what they did in networking events. So that was their apprenticeship, is learning to be able to show up. Is it speaking in that boardroom? you go in to make your pitch, to show them what you have to offer that's definitely going to solve their problem and save so much time and money. But you can't quite get there and really step out of yourself and show them exactly what you have. Maybe it's that cold calling. Maybe it's telephones. Maybe that's your student, your apprenticeship, is that picking up the telephone and cold calling. Is it social media? You see, it doesn't even have to be your face up there, does it? It could just be your words. Maybe it's tech related. Maybe actually what you should be doing is getting used to using a camera or, I don't know, recording equipment. Maybe that's your apprenticeship. All of these things are, fears. And when you're operating with that defeated mind from a defeated perspective, we will always remain defeated in our mission. That's the truth of it. That's your wasted life. That's your half life. Another lovely, I do love my quotes. I make no apology for it because I think they're amazing. But tough times never last. Tough people always do. And tough doesn't mean brash and aggressive. But Robert Shiller, he was an American economist and author. And he said those words. The question is, how do you become tough? Well, like I said, it's that emotional resilience. It's having that clarity. That's what happens that's the toughness we're talking about. Ultimately, your willingness to work on the fears that you hold. And remember, if you had a proper definition of fear is the avoidance of pain, emotional pain. That's what it comes down to. So do that inner work. Sit with yourself for a little while. Just ask yourself, what apprenticeship am I undergoing? And focus on it. We can't be an apprentice in every area at the same time. Just figure out your apprenticeship for now. Work on that. And as always, I'm here to help. So, if you want to take up the 30-minute complimentary call with me, do it. Email me, tell me what your apprenticeship is, because I'm always loving to hear from everybody. Anyway, that's it from us this month anyway. I wish you well and hopefully see you next month. Bye-bye.